My shift started like any other. 7 months pregnant on my feet for 8 hours, balancing plates and fake smiles at Harrison's diner. The morning rush hadn't even cleared when my boss, Nancy, came storming out of the back office, heels clicking across the greasy tile like gunshots. "Hope you're not planning to go on break again, Lila," she snapped. "You've been leaning on that counter like you're about to give birth right here." I straightened up, ignoring the ache in my lower back. "I've only taken one break, Nancy, just grabbed water." "You think customers want to be served by someone who looks like a medical emergency," she hissed, eyes narrowing. A couple at booth 6 looked up uncomfortably, clearly hearing everything. My cheeks burned. I opened my mouth to defend myself, but Nancy was already waving me off. "You know what? Just go. Clock out. You're done here." I blinked. "Wait, are you firing me?" She folded her arms. "This place isn't a maternity ward, Lila. It's a business." I couldn't speak. I stood frozen, humiliated, one hand on my swollen stomach as the words sank in. Nancy turned back toward her office without a second glance. Whispers rippled through the diner. A few regulars looked away awkwardly. I caught the eye of a man in a crisp navy suit at the far end of the counter. He looked vaguely familiar, eyes locked on mine with quiet intensity. I turned, heart pounding, and slowly walked toward the break room to gather my things. Behind me, I heard a firm voice cut through the chatter. "Excuse me, is that how you treat your employees?" It was the man in the suit. He had stood up now, tall, commanding, expensive watch flashing as he adjusted his sleeve. Nancy blinked at him, caught off guard. "Sir, I don't see how this concerns you." He pulled out a black card from his wallet and placed it on the counter. "It does now. I'm Miles Carrington, and I just bought this diner last week." I froze mid-step. The break room door was still swinging as I looked back, stunned. Whispers rose like a wave. Nancy's face turned the shade of strawberry jam. What did you just say?" she sputtered. "You heard me," Miles replied, voice calm but razor-sharp. "Carrington Hospitality acquired this location as part of a commercial bundle. I was planning to sell it, but now I'm reconsidering." Nancy's tone flipped like a switch. "Mr. Carrington, I had no idea you were here today. Let me explain." "Save it," he said, cutting her off. "You fired a pregnant woman in front of a dozen witnesses." I stepped forward then, hand shaking slightly. "Sir, it's okay. I don't want to cause trouble. I just want to leave quietly." He turned to me, his eyes softening. "What's your name?" "Lila," I said. "Lila, you're not leaving." He turned back to Nancy. "She's not fired. You are." Gasps echoed around the diner. Nancy's mouth opened and closed like a fish. "You can't just—" "I just did," Miles said. "Security footage will support everything I saw. Pack your things." Nancy stormed off, but not before sending me a death glare that could have melted steel. Miles turned back to me. "Are you okay?" I nodded slowly. "I think so." "Then sit down. You need rest. And food." He paused. "On the house." I sat numbly at a booth while the remaining staff buzzed around like confused bees. He joined me a moment later, coffee in hand. "Why were you working in that condition?" I sighed. "Because I had no choice. Rent, doctor bills, baby stuff. It doesn't stop just because you're tired." He studied me for a moment. "And the father?" I looked away. "Gone. Left when I told him." Miles nodded slowly. "You deserve better. And so does your baby." I blinked away sudden tears. For the first time in weeks, I felt like someone saw me. Not just the belly or the uniform. Me. That afternoon I didn't go home. Miles asked me to stay, said he needed to talk to me about something. I sat nervously in what used to be Nancy's office, legs bouncing. He entered, closing the door gently behind him. "I've been thinking," he said, leaning against the desk. "This diner needs change. New leadership. Someone who understands struggle." I blinked. "You mean like, you want to hire someone new?" He smiled slightly. I mean you, if you're willing. You know the place, the people. I'll cover your training, give you maternity leave, benefits, a future." My mouth fell open. "You want me to manage the diner?" He nodded. After your baby is born, we'll work around your needs. Tears rushed to my eyes before I could stop them. I don't know what to say. Say yes, he said, not just to the job, but to believing you're worth more. I did say yes. But what I didn't know then was that this wasn't the end of the story, not even close. Because 3 weeks later, after I started my training and began rebuilding my confidence, I received a letter from my baby's father. He was back, and he wanted something from me. Something that would put everything Miles offered, and everything I was rebuilding at risk. The letter was postmarked from a nearby town, and I recognized the handwriting instantly. Strong, slanted, and confident. Inside was a single sheet of paper. Lila, I've made mistakes. I'm ready to make it right. I need to see you. Please meet me at the park on 7th Street this Friday at 5 p.m. I want to be part of our child's life. Ryan. My hands trembled as I read it over and over. Ryan, the man who had vanished when I needed him most. He hadn't answered my texts, calls, or even emails. Now, out of nowhere. This? Miles noticed something was off the next day at the diner. You've been quiet. I tried to brush it off, just tired, but he saw through me. Is it about the letter? I looked up in surprise. How did you... You had it with your schedule papers yesterday. I saw your face when you read it. I sighed. He wants to meet Ryan, the baby's father. Miles's jaw tensed. And you want to go? I don't know. Part of me wants answers. Closure, maybe. Miles nodded slowly. Then I'll go with you. Stay at a distance, just in case. I hesitated but finally nodded. Okay, thank you. What I didn't expect was that Ryan wouldn't be alone. When I arrived at the park that Friday evening, the sky gold with sunset, I saw him standing by the fountain. And next to him, a woman. Sharp suit, clipboard, lawyer. Ryan smiled as I approached. Hey, Lila, this is Cassandra. She's helping me file for custody. My breath caught. Custody. This wasn't about making things right. This was a battle, and it had only just begun. The wind seemed to stop. My voice trembled. You're filing for custody? Ryan's expression was maddeningly calm. I want to be involved. This is the legal way. You disappeared, I said, struggling to stay composed. For months. You left me alone. I was scared, he replied quickly. But I've changed. I found a good job, cleaned up my act. I want to be a father. Cassandra, the lawyer, spoke up. We believe shared custody is in the best interest of the child. I took a shaky breath. This baby isn't even born yet. Ryan looked away briefly, then met my eyes again. I want to be ready when they arrive. I heard footsteps behind me. Miles stood nearby, hands in his coat pockets, silent but vigilant. You should have talked to me first, I said quietly, not shown up with a lawyer. I didn't think you'd listen. Miles stepped forward. Maybe because you didn't earn the right. Ryan's gaze darkened. And who are you? Someone who's been here, Miles said simply. While you were gone. Cassandra cleared her throat. Let's not escalate. This can be handled through mediation. I nodded slowly. Fine. You'll hear from my attorney. Ryan looked taken aback. You have a lawyer? I do now, I said, turning to walk away. My knees felt weak, but I kept moving. Miles followed. As we reached the sidewalk, Miles asked, You okay? I shook my head. Not really, but I will be. The following week passed in a blur of paperwork, phone calls, and sleepless nights. Miles wasted no time connecting me with a family lawyer, Grace Patel, a quiet but sharp attorney with a reputation for winning even the most complicated custody cases. When I sat in her office, hands folded over my belly, I still couldn't believe any of this was real. He abandoned you during your pregnancy, she said, reviewing the letter from Ryan. That speaks volumes, but we have to tread carefully. Courts are unpredictable, especially if the father expresses interest and appears stable. I nodded, my throat tight. He brought a lawyer. It didn't feel like a reunion. It felt like a setup. Grace offered a soft smile. We'll protect what you've built, Lila. But I need to ask, do you want him involved at all? The question stunned me. Did I? There had been nights long before Miles when I'd imagined Ryan holding our baby, laughing, trying. But now, those images felt like ghosts of a story that never existed. I don't know, I whispered. That night, I told Miles everything. We sat in the quiet back booth at the diner, the neon sign flickering in the window beside us. I'm scared, I admitted. What if the court sides with him? They won't, he said confidently. And even if they try, we'll fight. I looked up, surprised. We? He hesitated, then reached across the table, gently covering my hand. You're not alone anymore, Lila. Not in this. His words were steady, warm, and terrifying in how much I wanted to believe them. The day of the custody hearing arrived sooner than expected. I stood in front of the courthouse, wearing the only blazer that still fit, my stomach tight with nerves, and not just from the baby. Grace joined me on the steps, flanked by Miles, who refused to let me face any of it alone. When I returned to the courtroom, the judge gave her ruling. Temporary sole custody to me, with supervised visitation for Ryan after birth. Contingent on him continuing therapy and parenting classes. Ryan's face fell. Cassandra leaned in, whispering something. And Miles? He smiled quietly beside me, his hand brushing mine as we walked out. You did it, he said. No, I replied softly. We did.